Hey, is this thing on? Lance, Nick, ready? Can you hear me? Welcome to the Live Free and Hunt podcast.
All right.
You good?
Yeah. Hey, we're good. We got some extras.
Just had a small mishap. Ran out of batteries.
Yeah, it's happened.
We're gonna start over here.
But
all right, so
we're live again. We're not live. We're
Live
hot.
Free and Hunt podcast, episode number 3. We have Al Routhier and Justin Routhier, father and son, and the big drop time buck. We're gonna talk about some hunting stories and some hunting techniques. And, yeah, we're going to get to it.
You're like a bad deck of cards that loves to lose. You don't listen to me, and I don't want you to, 'cause we sure have fun throwing my money away. You bet high, I bet low. You're all in and I'm all broke. Another paycheck down the drain.
So, Al, how old were you? And, yeah, let's get to the hunting stories.
Well, I was born in Dover, and but my dad had a buddy up in Ossipee that had a big old farmhouse and acres and acres of open woods. So he'd go visit his buddy, and we'd roam around the woods up there and check things out. And that's how I kind of got into just loving the woods. And so he'd take me up hunting in the fall. And one fall we were up there, and we got out of the truck, and I had my dad's old 303 Savage in my arm, and we're walking down this field, and all of a sudden I spotted a deer. And I had just handed off the rifle to my dad because my hands were cold. I'll never forget it, like it always happens, right? Yeah. So I'm like, I don't care, I wouldn't want this deer. So my dad draws up on the deer and following it. And it was in the open. I'm talking probably 50, 60 yards, Yeah.
Easy poke.
Now it is,
right.
Looking back on it, that old Savage had a real fine, front sight. And I don't think my dad was, he was in his 50s, so I don't think he could see it. But deer walked off. But needless to say, it stuck with me all these years, and it was a great experience. So that's kind of where I started.
Good deal. Do you remember your first kill, your first deer?
Yeah, I was actually, when that first episode, I was probably like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
I didn't actually kill my first deer till I was 23.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because like I said, he wasn't really a deer hunter.
Right.
It was a kind of a, hey, here's a tote road, we're going to sit on this stump thing. So it took me a while to figure it out. And my first kill was a bow kill. And we had gone on a trip to Pennsylvania with some buddies. And, of course, there's a lot more deer in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah.
So
you got seasons.
That was a big education, too, just being able to watch all these deer, and you could pattern them through the farmlands and where they were going through the ravines and cornfields. We used to push cornfields, all with archery.
Yeah.
So I took a doe
doing drives, like
Oh yeah.
deer drives with
Oh,
archery
yeah.
equipment?
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All on the ground, or would
on
you
the
guys...
ground.
Oh, no way.
Well, we hunted out of tree stands too,
right.
but my first kill was on the ground.
Nice.
And
Nice.
If you guys have never seen it, bow hunting October whitetails with Gene and Barry Wenzel. It's from the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's a classic bow
look
hunt.
it up, yeah.
You got to see
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
These guys shoot. They shoot instinctive, and on the ground, and they drive deer. It was a great video. So.
Wow. That's awesome.
No way.
Yeah, but I hunt mostly from the ground now. Even I don't bow hunt as much as I used to, but I'll get in a tree stand. But I'm a firm believer in ground blinds and using natural cover, blow downs,
whatever.
stumps,
Yeah, whatever you can find.
all
around
that
you.
stuff. So
You keep telling me to give up on tree stands because all 3 deer I've shot with my bow have been off the
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah. Stop.
He's like, just stop hanging stands. Just hunt them off the ground.
you're not going to fall and break your neck from the ground, right?
I've known people that actually fall and broken legs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
you've mainly hunted up here or south or of New Hampshire?
Yeah, I live in southern New Hampshire, so I bought the house I'm in now 15 years ago, and I pretty much bought it because it was in prime deer hunting.
Right, base
spot.
your life off of what you
So,
like to do. Yeah.
Yep, I did. You know,
Yeah,
we
way to
lived in
go.
a neighborhood before that, and it wasn't for me. And I'm like, I looked around and found this house that's isolated, and I can hunt right from my door.
Yeah.
And
It's the best.
I love it.
It's
Good
the
deal.
best. You hunted up north too?
Oh yeah, yeah. We got a camp in Pittsburgh. My dad's had it since the '80s. It's
Oh,
mine
that's
now.
awesome.
So we've done some tracking of deer up there, and but to be honest with you, I've never shot a deer up there. It's always eluded
Really?
me because
Yeah.
we'll go up there for pretty much a weekend. I'm not the kind of guy that can take the whole month of November off and track a buck 300 miles like
Right.
like the Benoits do.
Yeah.
So we'll go up for a weekend and bump them around, and I've passed deer up there, and I've missed a couple deer up there, but everybody else that I take up there shoots bucks except
I
me.
haven't shot in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh. Every time we take a deer trip, I don't think we've had a successful.
No, we had
no.
close calls this year, I guess. You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
More than I,
there's something different about it. You guys know. You get
Oh,
out there and
it's
Oh,
hard.
you can't stop. You just
Yeah.
can't stop walking.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like, oh,
what's
around
over the
that
next
corner?
hill?
Yes,
What's,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great.
It's ridges, ridges, ridges. They never
Right.
end. It's just
Steep.
you can keep
Oh.
going.
And I don't know if we went in a bad time. Well, it's
It was
probably-
early
a
season.
deer
I feel
hunter's-
like the rut just
A
wasn't.
sitter is it's like the perfect time of the year because it was probably for up there. I'm sure they were in full rut, ready to go. And I know they were because
They were
getting on
moving.
the track,
They were walk. They were
you
just.
could walk and walk and walk and walk and walk, and that deer would never even stop to eat, stop to rub, stop
Right.
to anything. He was just on a mission,
Yeah.
going.
And you got to kind of pick and choose those tracks.
Right.
You get on one, you go a mile, and he's not stopping. It's like, well, maybe I ought to find another one.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't trying to lay down any sign that he was going to try to stop or
Right.
do anything. Me and Lance, this last day I was up there, Lance came up and filmed for me, and we were on a track in the morning that we kind of,
We got looped around.
we
It
got
was
looped
terrible.
around, tried to find another track, but everybody was stopping and picking tracks out, or looking at the tracks on the side of the road. So
Right.
either if it was a good one, then it was going to be taken already because we had a late
Oh,
start.
I don't know how many trucks were up there. It was,
Yeah, it's
it was
crazy.
unbelievable. I thought it was it felt like duck season. It was just everyone was parked. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy smokes.
Most of them from Vermont, probably,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like I remember going up there for opening day of grouse season, or partridge season, when that season opens up for rabbits,
Yeah.
whatever up there.
It's similar, right?
And
Yeah.
there was there's trucks and
Trucks
people
everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It
Driving
never
roads.
used to be like
You know
that
how
for,
it is,
for
yeah.
deer hunting.
No.
And this year it was
Well, they're going where the snow is, and I don't know
Yeah.
if what the Vermont season, when it opens or what, but every time I'm up there, it's like the Vermont hunters are over.
Everywhere, yeah.
And a lot of those guys can hunt.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They keep going.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I want to go back to come back to
Justin.
and when you started hunting and your first successful hunt.
I mean, when did you first start taking me hunting? Honestly, I don't remember how old I was.
Yeah,
at
well,
that point. I was
Justin
so
was
young,
into
but-
hockey. He played a lot of hockey when he
Yeah,
was younger.
yeah.
So, I mean, all those hunting, weekends during the season were taken up with hockey trips
Right,
and this and
yeah,
that. So
right.
he was a little older. I started taking him, I don't know, 12 or 13,
Right.
short
Yeah.
trips here and there,
Yeah.
But you were 14, yeah, when you
Yeah,
got your
when
first one.
when I shot my first one, I was 14. I remember that because it was my biggest deer to date. Still today.
Really?
Yeah, and we climbed this ridge and get halfway up, and I'm like, I'm winded already. Like, it's cold. I'm freezing.
I
I'm
wanna
like,
go
no, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go home, but I'm like, how much
That's
farther?
how it is, right?
Yeah,
You're
the
always
sun-
asking,
yeah,
when are we
sun's
going
not
to
easy.
Yeah, how much
Yeah.
farther are we gonna go before we sit? Like,
Yeah.
when are we gonna stop? So eventually,
Well, I had intended to go to the top of that mountain that day.
Yeah, I
and
wasn't making it to the top.
We
so.
got halfway and we encountered a ton of deer sign.
Yeah, so we ended up stopping about halfway up this ridge, sitting on this big pine tree, me and him side by side. And we weren't sitting maybe 10, 15 minutes, and all of a sudden you're crashing. He gets all excited, and I can just hear by his voice that there's deer coming,
Right.
And I didn't know. This is really the first time I'd encountered deer in the woods, so I didn't really know what to look for. Well, I see him come down the ridge, and they cut right in front of us, perfect, probably 40 yards out maybe.
Oh, it
And,
wasn't
like-
that far. It was
I
maybe
mean, that's how I
15 to
remember it,
20
but
yards.
Yeah, I don't
Picture
know. I mean,
perfect. Yeah.
I mean, that was
perfect.
that was 14 years ago now,
Right.
So I mean, it's been a while, but yeah, they cut right in front of us, and I remember it was through a little bit of thick stuff, and I saw one stick its head up in front, and all I saw was the whole side of its rack. And I was like, I know it's a buck, so
Right.
I'm going to shoot it.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, when you feel comfortable, take the shot. So I'm like, okay. So I pull up my gun, and I take the shot with his Encore 30-06 at the time. And the thing dropped in its tracks right where it was. And I get all excited,
like
jumping
that.
up and
Oh
down.
yeah, we
you
were
know,
jumping and
hugging.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it was
like,
great.
You know how it is when you shoot your first
Oh,
year, especially
man.
when you're with your dad. You know,
I
it's
still
like
do it.
it's the
Oh,
coolest
yeah.
experience.
Did
Oh
that
yeah,
thing have
yeah.
horns? Did it have horns?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, and then we walk up to it, and the craziest part about the story is we walk up to this deer, and I can't find an entrance hole anywhere.
There
Thing's
is
not bleeding,
there is not a wound
not a
on
Really?
the
speck of
deer.
blood,
I
nothing.
thought he
Really?
scared it to death.
I thought the thing, yeah. I'm like, did this thing have a heart attack and die? Like, how did I kill this thing? Can't find it. So we're just, we're flipping the deer over, looking, trying to figure out where I shot this thing. There's
Yeah.
not a hole in it anywhere. It's just so happened that it went right in its ear,
No way.
blew out its skull on the inside, and you could feel like mush on the back of its skull.
Yeah, there was like a drop of blood in his
And that's
opposite
it.
ear, and that's it.
Holy
Went in one and out the
It
other.
went right in its ear hole.
Holy
I was
smokes.
like,
shit.
wow, talk about a lucky shot. And like, I just,
Yeah.
just so happened to hit it. I mean,
Got
Well,
a case of
just
the
got
shakes,
lucky,
little-
but
Proceeding,
I mean,
yes,
yeah.
exactly, Tyler. Because I remember it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
This big doe had come up first, and she came up like the buck always lets the doe come in, and so she came up and she stood in front of us and looked around left and right, and she was there like 30 seconds at least. And Justin had the rifle up the whole time,
Yeah.
just offhand, and so she finally took a few steps and up came the buck, same exact spot, and he stopped in the same spot. And by then, Justin had to rest the rifle on the toe of his foot. I remember it because he was shaking so bad. I could see the thing So I'm looking out of the corner of my eye thinking, oh, my God, is this going to happen or not, right? So that's when I whispered. I go, shoot, shoot.
Yeah.
And he shot, and there it went down. So
yeah, biggest
Was
buck
that-
to date.
Was that during the season or like youth weekend or?
That was
Veteran-
November
Veterans Day.
11th.
Oh, November.
Oh,
It seems
11th,
to be
no
my
way.
lucky day,
Yeah.
Veterans Day. I don't know
Yeah.
why. It just seems to be the day for bucks for me, anyway.
That's a good
Wow.
traveling day. Like during that week.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want to
dude.
say, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the start of the rut. I think.
Yeah.
The first week or.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually second week
Yeah,
November,
second week,
early
yeah.
second week. But
yeah, but what a nice buck, big white ivory rack,
Yeah.
tall racked 8-pointer.
yeah, I sent you a picture of that. It was
Yeah.
my biggest today, 192-pound 8-pointer. That was
Holy
my first
smokes,
deer.
that's a nice
you know.
deer.
Can you imagine?
And we had it
No.
weighed at this store that had this
Oh,
piece of
the
plywood scale, and
Ah,
I'm
so it
like,
wasn't even.
I'm like thinking back,
Who
we should have got a
knows?
second
Yeah.
opinion on
I
this
think
buck,
I know
but
what the story you're talking about.
Yeah.
is. A couple
Yeah.
of deer weighted
They
there.
put
Yeah.
the deer on the piece of plywood and lift the plywood up.
Well, no, they don't even do it anymore, so it's not the
No.
place you're thinking of now.
Well,
But back
it
then,
used to be on the ground. There used to be a piece of plywood.
yeah, so you know
Yeah.
where it is, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, 8 pounds away from 200 for his first
I know.
one.
We should have brought it somewhere
Yeah,
else. I'm like,
definitely.
and I'm still chasing the 200 club now,
Yeah.
14 years later. and like,
Can't stop. It's just-
Both of
that's-
us
that's
are,
the
you
goal,
know?
Yeah.
That's why it's funny though, because I can, you go to work and I don't remember what the hell I did at work 2 weeks ago, but,
Right,
I,
but you remember?
I remember every one of these hunts to the detail,
Right.
all the way back to my
Yeah.
first one.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just something you love and it sticks with you.
Yeah.
I can't remember what appointments my wife made for me, but I can remember the date that we had a podcast and every hunt that I've been on.
Yeah.
yep.
Just everything you enjoy just
Right.
blanks everything out.
So, what are the things like? All right, put a scenario in your head. You don't bow hunt too much anymore. You said.
Sporadically,
Yeah.
I had shot a recurve for quite a few years. I used to bow hunt a lot. I shoot 2 or 3 deer a year, like Justin does now.
Yeah.
And I kind of got out of it when one of the limbs on my bow cracked. So I'm like, I want to shoot a recurve. So
Yeah.
I bought a
Yeah.
real nice Martin Mamba
Yep.
recurve with a fast flight string.
Yeah.
Beautiful bow, and I loved shooting it. But I shoot a bow right-handed, and I am left-eye dominant.
Holy
Oh,
smokes.
wow,
Yeah.
That's a
So
struggle.
I had some difficulty, to say the least. I mean, I could shoot it out to 20 yards or so,
Yeah.
fairly accurately, 10-inch groups at 20 yards, which,
So when you pull that string back with your right, you always bring it to your right eye?
no, I mean, you anchor it just like you would a normal
Okay.
bow. You bring it to an anchor
Okay.
point, and I'd shoot with my fingers, a
Yeah.
glove and
No,
fingers.
right. But when you anchor it back, so Like when
Yeah,
I
see,
shoot a recurve, I
you're
look
normally
down my arrow.
you look down the arrow,
Right.
and my dominant eye was not on the arrow.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how you do
Yeah,
that.
I don't know how you can do that either.
So yeah, and I didn't figure this out for a while. I'm like, Jesus, I cannot get the grasp of this.
Holy
So
smokes.
I didn't feel comfortable shooting past 20 yards. So I didn't
Right.
really hunt with it
Right.
for quite a few years. And just recently, last year, I bought a used Hoyt bow, nice
Yep.
bow.
Compound.
You know?
Yep.
Yep. And I'm getting back into it. So
Nice.
yeah.
To get into some like whitetail techniques, early season, do you guys do any scouting? Summertime before September 15th, the New Hampshire,
When it opens, what do you
Opens
guys
up.
find yourself doing year after year to just become successful like you guys been in the past years?
is there anything certain that you like? I want to start off with like in the summertime. Are you guys scouting? Are you guys putting out cameras in the summertime?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I usually start setting cameras, early June.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I usually leave them out most of the year, with the exception of a couple months. But
Yeah.
I'll move them around July, June, early July, and just figure out where the deer are. Then see what's on camera. See if you got bucks, starting
Yeah.
to grow
Right.
Check the
antlers, whatever.
inventory,
Just
right.
see what you got.
Yeah, we basically hunt the same areas. At least we have over the past 4 or 5 years. Justin's
Yeah.
found some new spots, but I mean, we've hunted them so long that we know the travel routes. We know
Yeah.
where the
Right.
deer are
Yeah, it
bedding.
just
We
gets
know
you
all
that.
this. So it's nice to see hey, there's a nice buck out there,
Right. Yeah.
Right.
and gives you confidence. But
Oh, of course.
Problem
I don't
is,
think-
they all the patterns change as soon as hunting season starts.
yeah,
Right.
So
and
it's
I don't
like-
think either one of us have ever shot a deer that we've had on camera, right?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. So I mean,
I mean, we get all these bucks, but as soon as hunting season starts, they're gone. They disappear.
Yeah,
they
100%.
change-
Same
they
as
change
that.
And
it.
they're
Right.
done that.
yeah. So I mean, cameras
Everyone.
are definitely nice. It gives you the confidence
Yeah.
and
Right.
to keep going. But
But
that's
it's-
not really how
yeah.
we scout.
Yeah.
Not around. Definitely not around here.
Yeah. No.
No way.
I'd say we scout
More
more by
populated areas.
sign than by cameras.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
We'll set cameras and check them, but we never really have.
So you're
much
not doing
luck.
any kind of summer, out there in the summertime.
Not really.
Okay.
We're usually at my camp, floating on a floaty with a beer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
Cool. So,
You guys ever put up trail cameras up in Pittsburgh?
I have one out there right now that I'm dying
To
I-
check?
I
Get
meant
up
to
there
get
and
out.
check?
I found a massive track at this spot. It's up off Smith Brook Road. You probably know where it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I set the camera there. The following week, it was like the 1st of October, and I haven't been back to check it. But
Well, that
I
spot's-
put a dripper.
Oh, man.
I put a dripper over it.
it's probably
and,
some
uh,
goodies out
Curious to-
there.
yeah.
I'm hoping. I wanted to get
Curious
out
see
there,
what's
but
on
we were up there last weekend with the snowmobiles, and I wanted to get in. There probably was enough snow that I could have
Feet.
got into this spot and got the camera, but I
Yeah.
didn't.
We got to put a big beep over
Yeah.
that road.
No, it's a big road. Smith Brook Road is a lot
It's a
of.
huge. It's a road that goes way back.
Yeah,
in.
if you can
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
my camera,
No,
good luck to
yeah.
you.
I did see a picture of you. Maybe you were doing some off-season scouting or something. Maybe having a nap and reading a Benoit's book.
I don't remember
Right?
ever seeing that. I've read that book. I can't tell you how many times. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah,
And that's what I do
awesome.
when I go to camp. I read old hunting books. And,
Yeah.
but-
Have you ever read any of Hal Blood's books?
oh yeah, I got
Yeah.
them all. Yeah.
That's the way to go.
I just bought one the other day. Mark Sheeran. He's a Adirondack deer hunter.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, heard of him.
I'm reading his book right
Yeah.
now. But,
Awesome.
And they give you a lot of tips, but I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of it's not real world stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't got a month to take off to go track
Oh,
these bucks
my
day
word.
after day, like every other average deer hunter. We
Yeah.
hunt on the weekends, and
Maybe get a
So.
day out of it.
yeah,
Yeah. So, early season, we covered that. You guys don't do a whole lot of summer scouting. Have cameras out, but pretty much just for check for inventory.
Yeah.
When you're going into or rolling into, say, muzzleloader season, if you could go into an area, what would be your perfect scenario area, vegetation-wise, habitat-wise, whether it be swamps, cuts, old timber, pines?
I guess it depends on the food source for the year, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a ton of acorns, you obviously want to hunt the
Right.
oaks, stay close to the oaks. In between the oaks and the bedding area is really ideal if you're
Right.
going to tree stand hunt, or even if you just want to set up on the ground. But you want to stay close to the food and close to where they bed. And
You said you shot 3 deer this year, right? Correct.
yeah.
During
yeah.
arch. Oh no. that
Two
was-
with a bow, one with a rifle.
Okay. What areas were those deer in? when you shot them?
All J2, all 3
No,
different
I
towns.
meant
though,
the
but,
type
I mean,
of timber.
Well, one of them was in a field. The
Yep.
other one was bedded in oaks.
You stalked right up on that one, right?
Yeah.
In its bed.
Yeah, I stalked right up to that one bedded at
Yeah.
like 15
On
yards.
the ground.
I
It's
spotted
crazy.
it at like
Told us that story before.
spotted it like 40 yards sleeping. And I'm like, it was kind of crunchy leaves too. And I'm like, I don't know if I can get any closer, but I'm like, I feel more confident because bedded, the chest of a deer laying
Oh,
down is
small.
a small shot and it was facing
Small.
directly at me.
Right.
So I'm like, I got to get a little closer to feel confident with the shot. I'm not taking it from 40. So I'm like, just crept up as slow as I could. And I ended up getting within 20 yards, probably to like 15 yards. And I'm like, I'm not taking another step because this thing's
Yeah.
going to wake up.
Yeah.
Was she laying out flat, or she ever nose tucked under?
Laying out, facing me directly, but head wrapped back around facing the back. So
Yeah.
it was facing the opposite direction, but laying directly towards me.
Right.
So it was a direct chest shot, like right in the chest. So I just put my sight right on the chest, let it fly. Went all the way through the deer, right out the rear quarter. It got up, ran right at me. Didn't even know what hit her by the time she stood up. Got up, ran right at me, and literally almost ran into me. Was like 3 feet to my side, piled up into a
Jesus.
tree just behind me.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm like, that was the craziest
Crazy.
hunt I've ever
Crazy.
had. I'm like, the thing, yeah.
It's wild.
And I know that field that you said you shot that deer at. I know that's
Yeah.
backed up by a bunch of hardwoods too.
Yep, there's a
Yeah.
big ridge behind it
Yeah.
too, and they come down off that ridge, and then they come into the field and feed
Yeah.
at night, like right before dark. And I mean,
Yeah, I know
I'll
that
be in
area,
there.
yeah.
I'll be in there next year for sure.
yeah,
you know,
definitely.
but-
So you're essentially like, you're trying to get a pattern on those early. Is it what was the date on that deer? When did you shoot that?
the
one?
doe.
That was
Well,
the
no,
second
you-
day of the
second,
season.
yeah,
You
16th,
walked up on
Of
that
archery,
September
yeah.
16th,
Of
yeah,
archery, yep.
second day of the
Oh,
season.
warm. That was a warm day.
Yeah, it was a Monday. I remember that 'cause
Oh.
I called out of work to go.
Yeah.
Hope my boss.
You were
Yeah.
sick. You were sick.
Yeah,
It was
I was.
Monday,
Yeah,
so,
I was
yeah.
terribly ill that day. So, yeah, I took the day off regardless because I had a virus or something. I think,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I remember we went out opening day,
Yeah.
freaking warm. Then the next day, that whole week was
Yeah.
terrible.
yeah.
I don't get really
Warmer
too
weather.
primed. I was out. I did
Oh.
see a deer in my tree stand when we were out that one night. Remember?
Yeah, you saw a doe walk by.
Doe and a
I
skipper
remember
came
that,
under my
yeah.
stand, but it was warm, and I don't really get into it until probably the first or second week of
Start getting
October.
that colder weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I just got ever since I shot that buck, my first one with my bow. I've been so hooked on bow
Bow
hunting.
hunting.
I know.
It's like nothing is comparable to shooting a deer with a bow.
I'm trying to.
It's
I'm
wild.
trying to get
What do
there.
you-
I
what do
don't
you
know
shoot
what
for a
it
bow?
is.
I have a Prime Synergy
Nice.
that I picked up in 2000. It's a 17 model. I picked up in 16. And the thing, I mean, it's just so accurate. It's
You-
so comfortable for me.
You shoot a 3-blade, 2-blade.
I've switched it up. Usually, I was shooting G5 Strikers, the
Yeah,
four
four
blade
blades,
fix, and then this year I switched to Rage Tripans,
Yep.
expandables, and I mean,
Turned
they
out
seem-
pretty good.
they
Yeah.
seem to work.
Passed all the way
But-
through.
Like I said, the only issue I had was when I shot that buck this year. It only penetrated probably
Right.
4 inches, one
Right.
lung, and that was it. It didn't pass through.
Right.
The first one though went all the way through the whole deer.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. No,
maybe
that's
it's
good.
just
Maybe
the
it punched a
distance.
rib, hit a rib on the
Yeah.
way in. or
I don't
something.
know. Yeah, I honestly don't know, but
How many grains?
300,
300?
350 grain arrows with 100 grain tips.
Oh, that's
And,
pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty mid-weight.
Yeah. I mean, I have a long draw range too. It's like 31-inch draw.
Holy
so,
smokes.
yeah, I got long
That's up
arms
there,
evidently.
Yeah,
but-
definitely.
So it puts a little more feet per second behind
Yeah.
it. So
This whole year, I grew up. Well, my grandfather showed me shooting traditional archery and stuff like that. So this whole year, I think I want to make a. I'm gonna try to push myself to just shoot with a recurve this whole year.
that's awesome.
Just hunt, just all turkey season, hunt with a recurve, and
That's
then
great,
deer
yeah.
season. I don't know, just to have some fun with it.
You
Really.
gotta put the practice in
yeah,
on those.
making
yeah.
my arrows now, and
That's cool.
Definitely.
using
into it.
using cedar or
yeah,
aluminum.
I'm gonna use cedar, the little
Yeah.
heavier, and the tapered down to 5/16 in the back, where I'm gonna put my obviously where the fletching goes, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really 100% sure what I'm gonna shoot for weight yet for
Right.
the full.
I always shot aluminum.
Yeah, I got a lot of aluminum arrows. My grandfather shot a lot of aluminum, but I figured, hey, might as well try the wood out.
Yeah.
It'd be fun just making them. Just try to kill some time for this
sure.
winter.
Yeah.
You can shoot right in your basement too.
Yeah, I've been got that maybe 15 yards in my basement.
Yeah,
Luckily,
yeah.
So
It's all about repetition. with
yeah,
those things,
that's
you know?
all it is.
Yeah.
I even picked up a smaller weight bow at 40 pounds. I think I got a a bear super Kodiak that's at 53 pounds at 28 inches draw. So I picked up a bow at 40 just to work on my form, because that's probably the hardest part for me, is just keeping the same form every time I shoot. Either slapping my wrist or
Yeah.
it just sucks.
I've never shot a recurve.
It's
or
fun
even
when you get into
traditional
it.
It's a
bow.
lot of fun.
I've never
yeah.
tried it, but I'm sure it's pretty difficult.
Oh.
It looks difficult.
I gotta
It's
get a
fun.
couple
Once when you
deers my
start,
bow
once when you
first.
start, grouping them, you're like, all right, yeah, this ain't
Yeah.
that bad.
Yeah.
Watch those Wenzel brothers on
Yeah.
that video. Those guys were amazing.
Oh.
The biggest thing with that is how do you, judging distance like that, it's
Yeah, it's a lot of
That's
people say
hard.
it's gap shooting, as in yeah, it's all feel. Honestly,
It's
you
just
look at
hand-eye
the target.
coordination,
Yeah,
yeah.
you look at it, and be like,
Yeah.
all right, this feels like I should put it up a little higher,
right.
and you let it go. That's it.
Yeah.
But
Jesus.
just to get back into it, we were talking about timber and different covers
Yeah.
you guys hunt and stuff
so,
like that.
say, get into the first
You
second
said
week in November.
muzzleloader.
Yeah. You go into a piece of woods. Say you walked into a piece of woods that you've never been into before. What are you trying to locate? What are you trying to find?
I like to hunt personally, and obviously you want to look for acorns and food and stuff like that. But I love hunting with like an immature stand of hemlock, small hemlock, stuff like that, and mixed with oak.
Yeah.
And if you got like a beaver bog or a swamp mixed in there where they funnel through that stuff, they like the cover and they got food in there, and those are kind of the spots I look for. I don't, open hardwoods, that stuff's mostly all night sign, I think. That
Right.
you might.
Yeah, no, that's a good. Yeah,
Yeah, and ridges, open stuff is not. They'll stay to the edges, cross beaver bogs, swamps, stuff like that. But
Well, we mainly hunt swamps. You look at all
yeah,
the spots
swampy
we hunt,
areas, right?
90% of it is swamps.
Yep. Look
the
for spots
edges,
going in and out, and
Yeah.
so
where they come in and out of the swamps are definitely.
yeah.
yeah.
funnel
Now I
points.
look at it, where you shot your deer this year, Nick. That was pretty tight, new growth, and next to a standing hemlocks, and next to a swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good point.
It's just
right there.
that's
The
just
stars are aligning.
Yeah.
Those are when I see a spot like that, it's like this is a deer spot. They're gonna,
Yeah, they're gonna be
any
in
time of day they could be in here. There's cover, there's food, there's escape in the swamp. They could bed. So
Oh,
That's
good.
that's almost the exact scenario like you just said out back.
Yeah.
And yeah. It's
Perfect.
it's yeah, it's perfect.
I don't know what other way to put it. No,
right.
but
I found a new spot this year that the amount of sign was unreal. Like I've never seen anything like it in my life. There's a rub every 20 feet.
Yep.
Like, through the entire swamp. There's scrapes everywhere. I've never seen so much sign in my life.
Right.
It was crazy, and I hunted it so hard all year. And I got a chance during muzzleloader at one buck, and I know this thing was a monster. All I saw was the side of a rack. I was facing the opposite direction and turned around and saw the side of a rack turn behind a tree, and I'm like, wow. The first thing I thought, I'm like, wow, this thing's huge. And the second thing, I'm like, I'm facing the wrong way. How am I going to turn around and get a shot at this thing?
right.
So I pull my gun over my right shoulder around this tree, wrapped around it, trying to shoot back towards the swamp. And I pulled the trigger, cloud of smoke, got up to it, no blood, no hair, nothing. I'm like,
Damn.
never found anything.
No.
But I
that
hunted
was my
that.
situation.
Yeah, the whole rest of the season I was chasing that buck, and I never once saw it again. So
You seem to travel.
No.
We know where you live, so
Yeah.
you seem to travel further. How come you're looking at new pieces instead of hunting the same old?
you
Same old.
hunt the same places for 10, 15 years.
You just
It's
keep
like,
going back because it's always like
There's
you
no,
want to.
no deer in those
You-
places, obviously.
There's deer, trust me, but you want to try new places. It's
Yeah,
like
definitely.
you're always thinking in your mind, what's on the other side of this ridge
Oh,
over here, or
absolutely, all the time.
Yeah.
you're
Kills
checking
me.
Google Maps, finding a big swamp somewhere or something. You're like, well, I wonder what's in that.
Yeah,
like
right.
my curiosity is just getting the better of me.
Yeah. I do
I'm
the
trying
same
to chase
thing.
them,
That's
but-
how I killed that basket rack with Nick this year. We've hunted the same places, and it was
Just
early
growing
season.
up, yeah.
This season killed us because there was so much feed. There was so much acorns.
Right.
It was
And people.
tough to.
Everything changes every year. Yeah,
Yeah.
you get hunters move in.
Yeah,
you
like
got
look
no
at last
food.
year. Last year was no food.
was
Look how many
completely
squirrels were
different.
dead on the road.
Yeah.
And now this
Yeah.
year you can't even find a gray squirrel.
Yeah, so it pay. You got to have multiple spots and move around. Even if you don't have confidence in one spot, just to change it up.
Just to do
You
it.
know, go to
Yeah.
That's
go
what we did.
someplace
It was-
else.
We just picked that spot the night before.
Right.
Tried it,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Yep. That's how it goes. You never know. Unless you try it, you're never gonna know what's
Right,
there.
Yeah.
Yep.
definitely.
I send him out on my recon missions now to find me spots. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Right.
I had intended to get up to Pittsburgh. We had a trip planned this year to go up and, do the track. And last year there was too much snow. We
Oh,
could
that
not-
snow hit quick.
So we had planned last year to go up too, but there was so much snow, 18, 24 inches
Yeah.
of snow.
You can't
couldn't-
walk in that
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
No.
I had buddies up there that said, don't bother coming up. But then I heard, all these guys were smacking these big bucks, because they were coming down into the
Yeah, the
into the
migration
lowlands,
area, yeah.
right, and stuff. They were going into the wintering areas and killing all these bucks. But
Well,
we didn't make it up.
evidently you don't need to travel because every time we plan a trip, you shoot a big buck a week before we're supposed
Yeah,
to
right.
go. and
Ah,
Trip
calling off
canceled,
the-
sorry.
Yeah, trip.
Good luck up there.
Right.
When you guys are hunting up there, what do you guys find yourself, the type of timber you guys are in, what do you guys find yourself going in the most? Even though you probably have your same spots that you go to up there, that you know where the deer are, but
Yeah.
I've only been up a couple times deer
times.
hunting,
Right.
I shot an 8-pointer up there. It's the only deer I've shot up there ever. And it just so happened my uncle was up with us, or my cousin technically, I guess, but he grew up as my uncle. I always called him that. But
Right.
yeah.
we went up hunting, and he shot a doe that morning. It was like opening day, I
Opening
think it
day,
was.
yeah.
Yeah. So we go up opening day, a rifle.
Snow on the ground.
No,
No, bare ground.
So
Bare
we
ground.
just find this big ridge. It was a new spot that
It was
you
a brand
scouted.
new spot, yeah.
that you scouted that year.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, we'll try here." So we get up in there. Well, my uncle shoots a doe that morning, and then everybody else, there's 2 other guys with us, went to a different spot, and they decided not to go out for the afternoon because it started raining. So me and my dad are like, "Well, we're gonna go regardless." So we get in the truck, go up there, and we had walkie-talkies because there was no cell service.
Right.
And he's on the other side of the ridge, and I see a deer coming up the ridge running at me, and I could see it had horns, so I shot, and I couldn't find the deer. I saw blood, but it ran down the other side of the ridge, and I couldn't find it. I'm looking everywhere. It's getting pitch black out. It's almost before dark. So
I'm
I get
not
on my
answering the walkie-talkie.
yeah, I get on my walkie-talkie like
I did shut it off.
Shut it off.
I don't want this thing squawking.
he shut off his walkie-talkie. So I'm in the middle of Pittsburgh on a ridge with no cell service, no nothing.
Suck it up.
And can't find my deer. I'm like, I don't know where this is. I'm trying to get him on the walkie-talkie. He's not answering. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. I got one flashlight. I can't see anything. I'd be
Batteries
lucky.
are almost dead.
Yeah, I'll be lucky if I can find the truck, let alone find the deer. I'm like, so I finally climb all the way down, get to the bottom of the ridge, and
What you mark it up top where you
I didn't
did
even.
shoot?
I took I forget how I marked it, but I had a GPS with me, so I took a picture on my GPS.
Yeah.
With my
Save you.
phone
Yeah.
on, I took a picture of the GPS coordinates on my phone, whatever. So
Yeah.
for the next morning, and we go up there, and the next morning I'm like, I know I hit that deer, and there's
It was
5.
swale grass,
Yeah.
high swale grass.
There's like
so
5 people.
You
with
couldn't
us
see
that camped.
tracks.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, I know I hit that deer. We got to go back and look. So the next morning, I got no sleep that night at all because I know the thing's dead somewhere. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm just hoping coyotes don't get
Getting
this
ready
thing or
to throw
something.
up.
Like, yeah. So we go up there and
There was 5 of us, right?
5 of us.
We just
went.
formed this big long skirmish line, 25, 30 yards apart.
It was probably, I don't know, 100 yards from where I shot
Yep.
it.
So
Yep.
you lost
Down the
blood, or
ridge.
it was just
There was no
too
blood.
dark.
There was
no
blood,
blood.
where I
Okay.
originally hit it, and then no blood after that.
Okay.
So we found it the next morning, though.
Yeah, stone dead. It hadn't
Yeah.
gone 100 yards, I don't think.
Probably around 100 yards, if
Yeah,
that.
it was
you know.
headed
So
downhill. but
one of you guys in that line picked it up.
I found it, right down at the bottom.
Oh shit! That
But
must be exciting.
30, it was kind of quartering towards you, right?
Yeah,
You
it
hit
was it was uphill, quartered towards me, coming
Yeah.
up the ridge, and I shot downhill. So I
yeah,
hit
so
it,
he
like,
was
high
using
in the
those
shoulder.
Hornady lever revolution rounds,
Yep.
and it went all through the body, but it never exited.
Yeah.
And so there was no exit blood trail.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was.
But yeah, we found it. We haven't lost one yet.
No,
Have we?
except
Knock on wood.
Well, I lost a doe to coyotes
Just
Really?
overnight.
overnight. Yeah, I was
Wow.
bow hunting in the Maine expanded archery season
Yeah.
over in Elliott. I had this buddy of mine that owns a farm in Elliott, and it's like Benson's Animal Farm. with
Really?
Deer. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
loaded with deer, loaded with bucks. So one night I was in the woods hunting in a tree stand, coming out just about dark. You couldn't see in the woods. I creep out to the field, and there's deer in the field. You know, you can see it's lighter in the field. So I took the shot, and I saw the arrow hit it, but it ran over. You know, this is in Elliott. It ran over towards this posted property on the other side, because I was only hunting like 50 or 60 acres right by the Piscataqua River.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm not going to go bumbling around there in the dark. I'm going to come here in the morning, find out if we need to get permission from my buddy. And he's like, no, he goes, they're fine. So just go find it. I went out and I found the deer. It was laying in a swamp, cattail swamp, but it was completely, other than the ears and the head, it was completely eaten by the coyotes.
Really?
One
Shit.
night. Yeah.
One night.
I'm
always petrified of that, and I haven't been in that situation yet. But
yeah, well, this was probably close to 20 years ago now. So I mean, this
Oh,
coyotes
it's
have
gotta be. Yeah.
been around for a while.
yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
You guys do any coyote hunting?
You know, I shoot them when I encounter them
When you-
during
yeah,
deer season,
right.
but other than that, no.
I want to get into it this year, but I haven't. I got to get the calls and
Yeah.
everything. You know, it's a
Yeah,
lot of money to
time.
drop on.
We got a
That's
nice
something
spot where you can shoot for a ways, and we got a bunch of coyotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
I'd love to
Justin was
try it,
talking
yeah.
about that.
We had a-
I put my best shot on I've ever made on a coyote probably 3-4 years ago, right down in that spot. I hunt by the brook. I took a stand, and every once in a while I could see this thing way down in the hemlocks. I could see it move, and then it would go away, and then it'd move and go away. So finally I got my scope in this spot, and I kept it there. And it was a coyote. He was laying down like a dog would. He'd lay his head flat on the ground, and every couple of minutes he'd lift his head up and look around. And it was right between these two trees at probably 80 yards out.
Yeah.
So I had about probably a foot gap between these two trees, only at the back of his neck. And I laid him out with my muzzleloader for about 80 yards.
Holy
Wow.
smoke!
Yeah. So that was pretty
Smoked
cool.
I missed
Yeah.
2 deer 80 yards with a muzzleloader 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw my muzzleloader in the trash. The only 2 deer I've ever missed have both been with my muzzleloader.
I had
This
a-
year and then a couple years ago, I missed an 8-pointer in Unit L, and the thing, I was on a rest in a tree stand. The thing's just sitting there staring at me. Came out of a swamp, take a shot at it. Smoke clears, it's still standing there staring at me.
Yeah.
I'm like, uh-oh. So I stand up, can't find my ramrod, my T-handle for my ramrod, so I'm trying to reload. I grab my wallet out of my back pocket, and I'm jamming my ramrod down, trying to get it in.
Still got the scar on his wallet, I think.
Oh, yeah, I
your
still,
hand.
yeah, I still got the hole in
No
my wallet
shit.
from it. So yeah, this is 4 or 5 years ago now, but I still, the thing. As soon as I got my primer in, I clicked the
Let it
handle
go.
back up, deer ran off. But I shot the same buck.
Was
the
that with
next
that
week.
Encore?
No, Omega. The
Omega?
Encore's his, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, TC Omega.
Yeah,
the
I
thing's
got
a tack driver. So
Yeah.
tell
It
him
really
tell him the
is.
story about the buck
I
you
already
missed this
did.
year.
I already did. Yeah, trust me. I'm
Everybody
embarrassed
doesn't
enough. I know.
hear it
The
though.
swamp. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, the swamp buck.
I almost threw my rifle in the trash after that. I was so mad. I called him. I'm like, this thing's a piece of junk. I'm getting rid of this thing. I'm like, if you want it, you can have it.
I had a black
I
diamond
was so
that
mad.
couldn't,
I'm like, perfect.
that couldn't
Right.
shoot groups at all with a muzzleloader. It just every round it would be different.
Yeah.
I couldn't take it. What was
Was
that
it-
swamp buck? That was a TC black diamond.
Omega.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it is.
Well, the black diamond
Yeah.
uses percussion caps, doesn't it?
Yeah, the
Yes.
copper caps.
Yeah.
Copper
Omega's
Yes.
Omega's a
Omega
primer
is a-
gun.
yeah,
209 primer.
primers, yeah.
But yeah, that gun I couldn't. I traded that thing in. I'm like, I'm all done with this thing.
The problem is the Omega, I mean, the thing's a tack driver. 100 yards, I can group like that with it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's just my unlucky gun. And every time I try and shoot a buck with the thing, I miss. So I'm like, any other rifle, no problem.
Yeah.
Maybe
the
you had a
only
case
2
of the
bucks.
shakes. It could
Yeah.
have been the shakes.
It happens.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter what you're carrying.
The
Yeah,
only
you're
2
right.
deer I've ever missed have been with that gun, though. So
Well,
it just,
I went to New York. What was it? Not this hunting season. The last
2018.
2018 hunting season. I was sitting in a stand, heard something rustling around. In front of me, I have kind of like a long, skinny swamp type deal. And I see the spike horn, like, I don't know, 20, 30 yards. So I didn't know what it was, so I'm ready. And I already got the shakes. So when you have like that adrenaline jump,
Yeah. All of a sudden, oh,
And
smoke,
then-
that is a deer.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
deer, and I can see
Here we
where it
go.
is, and there's a spike, and I was like, I'm not gonna shoot that one. My adrenaline dumped off, and I had that get those shivers.
Yeah, you get cold, right?
Yeah, I'm
right.
like, what is going on
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
And then just as that's happening, I just happened to look around, and then there was a nice deer, 8, 6, whatever it was, but it was a big, coming in the center of a field, that CRP field. It snowed, so there was the feed wasn't there, and I've never seen a deer in the field walk through a field in the middle of the rut. Comes up this field, and I put my scope on it, see it has antlers. Then the shakes that I had become like
Worse.
yeah, I'm like seizuring. All right, here we go.
Right.
Come on, get to it. So it does a 90-degree turn, and I'm sitting on a posted line, and so the rock wall that I'm sitting on, the right side is
It was like,
posted.
Yeah, I
It was
can't-
someone else's lease or whatever.
yeah, that's what it is.
So this
yeah.
deer comes and it's walking, and I can't pull the trigger because I'm shaking so bad, and I can't do it. And I've never had this much of an issue.
Right.
So I brace myself against a tree. I'm holding it, and I'm still shaking, and it gets right to that stone wall where you can tell it's going to take the leap, and it's going to be all over. There's no more shooting it. So standing at that stone wall, I was like, all right, here we go. So I tried timing my, whatever this is called. Yeah.
Tremors, right?
Yeah. I tried timing it. It looked good. Boom! And I missed, and then I hear, boom!
Oh,
And
yeah.
my dad was sitting, I don't know, 400 yards behind me, shot and missed one too. So I didn't feel so
At the
so,
same
so,
time,
right?
you guys shoot at
But
the
it
same
could have
time.
been a double. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was within a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens on those deer that you see come in. You get time to think about it.
That was
you
the
get,
thing.
Yeah,
Usually, if I see a deer in the woods, it's like, oh, there's the deer. Boom.
there it is. Let's shoot.
Shoot.
Right. Yeah.
And I watched it in my scope, and I looked at the antlers too many times, and
Yeah.
yeah, I lost my shit. I couldn't hold my shit together.
I mean, if something like that walked in front of me, I don't know if I'd
that
hit
drop
it.
time deer?
I really
Oh,
don't know if
I
I'd hit
wouldn't-
it.
We're gonna post some pictures.
I'd be
It's
shaking so
badly,
bad.
Larry.
I really think I would shake so bad that I would miss that thing.
Oh.
I don't know.
I didn't know what it was when I shot it.
Yeah.
All I could see were the two tines on the tip of the left antler. I saw those two tines, and I saw his nose. So
Yeah.
Such a nice deer.
We can jump to that story since we're there. So
We're looking at it right
we're
now.
looking at it. Can you start us off?
well, you
Your
guys all.
cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Start us
So
off there.
well, I'm going to start off like the previous week. This was Thanksgiving week, okay? And last year, 2018, we had all that snow in southern New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we both had the week off or we were just ungodly sick every day and we had to call in.
I think I was terribly
So-
ill, but
So,
yeah.
but anyway, we were chasing deer around, tracking them, and we were getting into them. And Justin tracked a beautiful buck on, I think it was a Wednesday, right?
Yeah, it was
day,
Wednesday
day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
He tracked him like 2 miles
Around the
out.
same area.
Similar. Yeah.
He
He
started
picked up the track in the
first
same
area.
spot and tracked it probably 2 miles.
Yeah, at
and
least, yeah.
put the hammer down on it. So a beautiful 8-pointer. So he had got his buck, right? So now the pressure's on Dad. And the following day, Thanksgiving morning, I think I went out, the obligatory 2-hour hunt in Thanksgiving. But then,
Gotta have it.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
to
The best one. I love that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know which day. I lose track of when
It
I
was a
shot.
couple
I
days
don't know if it was a
after.
Saturday or Sunday or
Mine was
whatever.
still hanging in the garage, so I know it was
Yeah,
a couple
but
days
I think it
after
was
that.
Saturday. I had
Yeah.
gone out and hunted most of the day, and I picked up a couple tracks that were, weren't too interesting, and still hunted mostly that day. The snow was really soft, and it was fairly warm, like low 30s, so it wasn't crunchy, foggy, and saw a pile of does. And I had been seeing does constantly also. I seen like 12 or 15 does up to this point. Not a single buck, not even a spike horn. I'm like, what
Yeah.
the heck?
What the heck's going on?
And this area that I was hunting had no scrapes, no rubs. I don't think I even saw a scrape or a rub last year, but does
Really?
everywhere.
Really?
Bedded down,
Yeah.
stalking up on them, does. So, I mean, historically, late in the season in that area,
It's been good.
it's
Yeah.
been good. So
It's
I'm
been
like,
great, actually.
it's been great, yeah. So
Yeah,
I
it's
wasn't,
good. It's
I
been
wasn't
great.
too concerned about it. We still had time.
Yeah.
I sat in a cutting that evening, Saturday evening, and sure enough, 2 does came out at the edge of this cutting, and I was expecting a buck, like I always am. After nothing came out, I'm like, ah. So I headed home. Next morning, it didn't get real cold that night either.
Yeah.
The snow was still soft. I think we might have had a little bit of a fresh snow, maybe an inch
we
or
got
so.
like a dusting to an inch.
Yeah.
Or something. I remember the morning specifically because you got up, weren't gonna go hunting, and I'm already tagged out. So I'm sitting on the couch drinking coffee, and you come downstairs and you're like, I don't know when I'm gonna go. I'm like, you're not gonna shoot him from the couch. So get up, get your ass outside.
You weren't
and
gonna
hunting.
go
That's his story. I was going out.
Oh yeah,
That was
he
I
was
had-
going
He was
out.
just taking his time.
Okay, yeah.
But
So
I don't like to go out in the woods in the dark, bumble around,
it was
especially when there's snow.
7:45 in the morning. You were. It wasn't dark.
I shot it at 7:30, so it couldn't have been 7:45.
Well, maybe
anyway,
6:45, but
I had a cup of coffee, kicking back with my wife. It got light,
Yeah.
and my plan was to find a track.
Right.
Might
Might as well let it get light out first.
Yeah,
let
fair
it
enough.
get light out. You're gonna bumble around in the dark and find a track, and so.
I'm just in a rush.
But I like to plan. I'm a planner, so
Yeah.
I like to have it. I'm gonna go to this spot. I'm gonna do this. I got to have it planned. I can't just go to the woods and all right, what do I do?
Yeah.
So that was my plan. But going back to why I bought my house and why I live where I do, I got to the bottom of my property. I have about a 2-acre field, and in this run where the deer come through, there's this big track coming right through in the middle of the night. So I was within sight of my doorstep, 100 yards away from the house. I cut a track. I'm like, geez, this looks like a good track. So started following it, stayed in the brushy stuff, went through this brushy patch, and then it went directly into that cutting where I had been sitting the night before. And in this cutting, it looked like every deer in J2 had been through there in the night.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm
Trying
like,
to sort some tracks out.
yeah, I'm like, this is not going to happen. I can't follow this thing. So I'm like, I'm going to circle and
Yeah.
see. So I cut around and started to do a circle around to see if he would come out. And sure enough, I got about halfway down, probably, I don't know, 200-300 yards around, and
Yeah.
out comes, looks like the same track. And it had a doe with it. So I started following it across the road, and cut in on on the right side of the road near this little brook.
Mm-hmm.
So I started following it, and I hadn't gone in there probably, I don't know, 75, 100
Not
yards,
far,
maybe
100
200 yards. And I come to this thick brushy spot where it had gone through, and I'm like, I was looking around. I'm like, how am I going to get through this? I knew I was probably pretty close to the deer, I'm like, how am I going to get through this without making any noise? So I'm looking around, and I caught a pile of snow fall off a tree, probably 25, 30 yards up to my left in front of me. And it was kind of bizarre because it hadn't been that warm. Nothing else was falling off the
Right,
trees,
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I honed in on the spot, and so that's when I could see 2 little tines.
Oh,
I'm like,
little?
there's a buck over there.
Right,
I didn't
you
know what
couldn't
it
see what it
was.
was,
Yeah.
right.
I knew from the tines it's probably an 8-pointer. So I got my scope up. I had a 7600 Remington with
Nice.
a 2x7 scope.
Yeah.
I had time to crank the scope all the way up and look through this opening, and there's 2 tines there, and I can see a nose, so it's a buck. And then I started looking back, and it was those short, non-mature hemlocks, those
Yep.
whippy hemlocks. They're
Yeah.
like 6, 8, 10 feet high, and he was in those, hooking one of those hemlock branches, and I went back and back until I saw brown right about the chest area and just let it fly.
That's where she's gonna go.
And so I, boom, of course, nothing, I didn't see anything. It was so thick, I didn't know if it ran off, which direction.
Right.
I gave it, the obligatory 2-3 minutes. And
I'm gonna go check if I got blood.
yeah, I definitely had blood. Had real good blood. So
Yeah, it was like a blood highway.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
yeah.
I've never seen a blood trail like that in my life.
Well, I was
It's like a red
using,
carpet.
I had these Hornady Super Performance 30-06 rounds that
Yeah.
I had used for a moose hunt. And that's what I was using that day. They were 180 grain Super Performance.
Nice. Holy.
So
yeah.
I'm like, I use these things up. So
They'll cut through anything anyway.
Yeah.
180
it
grains.
put a
Yeah.
massive
Yeah.
hole in his left side, and it was just
Wow.
spraying blood. But he didn't go, I don't know, probably 75, 100 yards
Yeah.
up through this ravine and up the hill, and did a little circle, the death circle, and piled up. I didn't see any of this, but I was just from the blood
Right,
trail,
Right.
you know.
You can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I took a little video. I think most guys probably saw the little video of me
Yeah.
walking up
Yeah.
on it. And but I had no idea that it was that. I was thinking 6 or 8 pointer,
Right.
good, decent buck. I'm shooting it. So I just got lucky. I was in the right spot. And
What were your thoughts when you walked up on it?
well,
Like, did
I was
you,
pretty
like-
calm actually, and I was kind of in disbelief.
You're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, he was laying on his left side, and it was so I couldn't see any of those left side drop tines, but I could see
Yeah.
the right one prominently sticking out. And I'm like, holy
freaking
moly,
crazy.
that's a nice buck. And then I pulled his head up out of the snow, and I'm like, oh, couldn't believe it. So,
I specifically remember getting that phone call, and it was, "You're not going to believe the fucking deer I just shot." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You need to come down here right now." He's like, "This thing is massive." I'm like, "All right, I'm on my way." I'm throwing my clothes on. I'm still in my pajamas drinking coffee.
Yeah.
What was the weight and the score?
182, and he scored 175 and 4/8.
That's freaking crazy.
175.
I had Jeff Graham over in Stratford scored him for me.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's actually doing my next buck Monday night. He's doing my other
Oh,
one.
good
So
deal.
Yeah.
That's the second year buck. Two
Yeah.
huge
we
bucks
can transition
back to back.
right into that.
Yeah, you can tell that
right
story
into
if you,
that
want,
one
if you want.
yeah, well, sure. We had I got it during muzzleloader season, and Justin and I had hunted opening day of muzzleloader season, and getting back to all the doe sign I had seen the previous year. It was me, you, and Jeff that were hunting opening day of muzzleloader. And
Yeah.
I think between us we saw 25 deer.
I saw
wanna say-
12. I saw 12 myself
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
opening day.
Opening day muzzleloader season
Yeah.
too. I think that was like I think the real first like cold snap we had. It was actually chillier that morning. I know
Yeah,
was
It
cold.
was fairly cold.
I know up here it was at least I want to say like 36 degrees or something like that.
Yeah, the first colder
Yeah.
morning
Yeah.
that we had. But I mean, I saw 12 deer, all does, every single
Yep,
one.
all
does.
those.
And then they saw, I mean, between them, I don't know how many too. So I mean, we're all hunting the same area.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
probably 2 or 3, maybe, could have been the
Yeah.
same deer running around.
Right.
Who knows? But they were
Yeah.
everywhere, but no bucks. And we were holding out, so no deer that day. And then the following day, it was actually that same night. It was a Saturday night. I had some friends over. Bill and Steve had come over. We had a little bonfire and this
Yep.
and that. But before that, I'm like, let's go out for a couple-hour hunt. So I brought Steve out, who was kind of an inexperienced hunter, and I found this. We were heading into the woods, and we busted this deer, another doe,
Yeah, of course.
in this spot. It was kind of a runway, pretty close to where I shot this drop tine buck. So I'm like, I'm gonna drop Steve off. I let him sit right in this spot, and I went out, circled. We didn't end up seeing anything else that night, but the following Saturday, I think it was a Saturday, I shot him.
Yeah.
Second Saturday of the season, the 10th, I believe it was.
Yep. Yes.
My hunt, yeah, it was real cold that day, real cold. And like I always do, I had a plan where I wanted to go this morning, so I headed out, and I'm like, I'm going to go hunt this peninsula off the point of this swamp. I think they're going in and out around the swamp, pinch point, whatever. So I get out there, and it was just like Captain Crunch walking through the woods, and
Oh,
I
wow.
couldn't move. I felt like if I go over there, I'm going to bust this hunt. So I sat down, let it at the peninsula for probably an hour till I got pretty cold. And I'm like, hell with it. I'm going to try to creep over to the left side of this swamp. I get over there, and sure enough, there's a hunter over there. I'm like, so, bust number 2 between the noise and this hunter.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking my day's fried,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'll circle around to the other side of the swamp and just, still hunt or whatever. I got around the other side, and it was just as noisy. I'm like, I got to sit down. Nothing's going to, I'm not going to walk up on something like this. So I sat down, made myself comfortable, and I got on my little can bleat. And we use can bleats all the time. We've had real good luck with them. And what I like about the can bleed is it'll bring in anything.
Right, doe.
Doe,
Yeah.
spike horns,
I had to
button
bring
bucks.
I had to bring in a bear this year.
Yeah.
Really?
I was going to
Bring it
ask you
anything,
about
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
So
you
it's not
guys-
like,
Do you guys use grunt calls too, or just
I do, yeah.
yeah, you do?
Yeah.
yeah,
Archery season.
Yep.
Do you get into much?
I use them. I've honestly never really had that much luck with a grunt call, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
But I do use them just see if it'll bring one in eventually.
right,
but
yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Never. I don't think I've ever called a buck in with a grunt call ever.
Rattle bag, or
Rattling.
antlers?
I've called
Yep.
them in rattling.
Nice.
But I still carry that grunt call because everybody else says,
Yeah.
"Geez, I called in this big buck.
Well-
It came in." And I've heard,
With
bucks
mixed deer
grunting.
this year,
Turned it right around.
it called
Really?
in the doe though. It was not the buck.
Really?
Because when we heard something walking and crunching, and I was like, all right, yeah, he's right. I think there's deer up there, and it wasn't anything I heard. He said he was up there longer than I was, so we met up and we were shooting the shit and crunching.
We didn't even hit anything. It was the doe that came over the mountain.
Yeah, it was the doe that came in without the grunt call. Came in, she blew at us, knew something was weird, and we were just kind of standing still. She took a couple bounds off, left, and then right after that, a buck came in. So he did one swing through, followed the doe back to where she was going, and
There
then
was
he,
like one opening that you could shoot him.
Yeah.
I'm shaking.
yeah,
And he turned, got into the opening, and turned right away from me and went up. I hit the grunt. It was frozen. So it sounded like ass.
Like tooting, like a
See,
toot horn right.
that's the worst.
Ty's head just dropped down. I'm like, oh.
I'm like hit
That
it
is the
again.
I
worst.
hit it again, and that thing whipped right around, same spot.
It
No
went
kidding.
As soon as he comes
the
out
doe,
that window.
he hit the grunt again, and the doe came in. Like, what was that?
Yeah.
And did the same scenario, and then like the buck did the same thing the doe did, and that's how it worked out for us. But
Yeah.
And then I showed him. I didn't even know. He goes, "Did I hit it?" He goes, "I don't know." Come on, dude. I had my eyes closed. He said.
I couldn't. Yeah. But yeah, no. So get back
So
to
yeah,
the
I mean,
story,
I carry one and I use it. I'll grunt. I don't know if I'm doing it right or not. I'll use a
Yeah.
few grunts, try to vary the tone, whatever. But
The bleat's what you guys
the
use
bleat,
the most.
the bleat works. I can't tell you how many times that's worked.
Really.
But
Bleat is
yeah.
I know a lot of
Good to
people
hear.
Go-to
that sit
for the
there and
bleat.
just
Yeah.
bleat. Even walking through the woods, they'll just
Oh, yeah.
start bleating.
Yeah.
Yeah, have those guys, what are those guys on YouTube? The deer guys from Vermont,
Oh, mountain deer.
mountain
Yeah,
deer.
mountain
Have
deer.
you watched his video when he's grunting,
grunting?
As you're
following the
walking,
deer
yeah.
by mouth?
By mouth.
mouth.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was that buck. The brother shot.
Yeah, it was real
yeah.
crunchy. So
Yes.
he's grunting because
Yeah.
obviously the buck's going to hear him anyway. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Buck got curious. Said, "Oh, what the heck's coming in
Yeah.
here?"
Yeah.
Spun right
Wa-
around.
yeah,
and
it came right
you
in.
Got it. Yeah.
So he came into the can. I mean, it wasn't 30 seconds after I put the can down.
How long were you sitting
That-
for?
Oh, I wasn't sitting 15 minutes, I
No
bet.
shit.
Yeah. And it was overlooking pretty much the same flat where I shot this drop tine buck. Wasn't far away, probably 75 yards.
Yeah, wow.
Jesus.
And so, yeah, I heard it coming. It was so noisy.
Yeah,
Crunch. It was
yeah.
coming from my left, so I had time to pull my glove off because I'm using the Encore with the hammer and all
Right.
that. Pull my left glove off, shift it around, and as soon as I saw movement, I'm like, that's a buck. That's I could see an antler, I could see movement. I raised the gun and got it on him and watched him come in the whole way. But I had the gun on him, but I wasn't watching through the scope. I was kind of watching over the scope, so I didn't know what kind of rack it had. I knew it.
Right.
I knew it was a mature deer. I'm shooting it. And,
Yeah.
it came into about 30 yards, and it was brushy enough so that I was questioning taking the shot. But it was facing me. It was looking for the bleat. You know what I mean?
Right.
It came in
Right.
between this clump of trees and brush, but it was facing me. I'm like, I had it right on his chest, but there was some brush. I'm like, finally, I'm gonna shoot it because he could turn tail and run or whatever.
Right.
Right.
And he just went down. I shot him in the lower neck, chest area. Just went down right
That's
there.
awesome.
Piled up.
Awesome.
Jeez.
Awesome.
I green scored that one myself. I don't know if I'm doing it right, but I come up with 144. We'll see what happens.
144.
Both deer, New
Yeah.
Hampshire. J2.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like we were talking about earlier,
awesome.
I think there's more of these bucks out there than we think there are.
Right.
You know?
Right.
They're just so hard to find. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, and you
Just-
gotta be prepared to eat your tag. I had passed up 2
Oh.
or 3 bucks previous to
Yeah.
that.
See, that's the difference between me and you. I just shoot what's in front of me. And
Yeah,
fill the
well,
freezer.
But a
you
lot
know,
of us
you-
are. A
yeah,
lot
you
of us
know.
are.
I mean, that's everybody.
I've-
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no, we've
There's
all-
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I've done that. I've shot countless spike horns and
Yeah.
does, button bucks, whatever, and that's fine. But now I like to hunt. And
Right.
Right. You don't
if
want
I shoot one of those on opening day, I have regret the whole season.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and now
That was
I
my
got
problem
Justin
this
to
year.
fill my freezer, so he's already filled it.
It's perfect. Yeah.
But you had some good hunts this year, Justin.
Yeah, I had some good luck this year for sure. This is the first year I filled all my tags, including
awesome.
a bear tag. So I got pretty lucky.
Even a bear tag, huh?
Yeah,
going
so
to
I have 3 deer and a bear. It's the first year. I wasn't too picky.
So what did you get for tags? You got both archery or special?
Special archery, and rifle tag,
And did
and
you
a
get
bear
an
tag.
L tag too?
No, I didn't
No,
apply for an
didn't
L
bother
tag
with
this
one,
year.
yeah.
Which honestly, looking back, I wish I did now because I tagged out so early in the
Right.
season that I was like,
Yeah.
I was going out hunting with other people, but you're not allowed to carry a call. You can't do
Right.
anything like you.
Right.
You can carry a gun coyote hunting or whatever,
Right.
but you can't assist anybody
They
in
still look at
taking a
that
deer
too.
or
They'll still
anything.
question you for that. Yeah.
Right.
No, of course they would, and I don't blame them for that. But I couldn't hunt the whole second half of the season. I wish I held out, to be honest, instead of, I shot 2 4-pointers, but I'm like in a doe, but I'm like I don't know if
That's still good.
yeah. I love hunting, so it kind of bummed me out to not be
Yeah.
able to hunt the second half of the season. But
Plus, in your past, you guys been drawn for moose tags. Both of you guys in New Hampshire. Is that
Yep,
Yeah.
we've had
Nice.
between the two of us, we'd had 4 moose tags.
yeah,
what years were those?
My first one was 95, and I hunted with my nephew, my sub-permittee. And back then, I didn't know jack about moose hunting,
You just
And-
driving up
in
yeah,
the
you drive up
summertime.
north and you
Hey,
see
there's a
'em.
moose in the
Yeah.
swamp, so
Right.
we're gonna go hunt near the swamp.
Yeah.
Well, that is not where the moose are in October. I can tell you that right now.
What zone was that?
We've had 3 of them in A2 where my camp
Oh,
is.
that's awesome.
That's-
That's
I always pick-
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my first pick A2 every year, and then
That
one
is
year
Beautiful.
C1 was
C1.
Milan or Milan or whatever.
C1,
yeah, I
yep.
think it's
Yeah.
Milan.
Yeah,
And-
C1. Yeah.
we actually hired Northern New Hampshire Outfitters.
Yep,
Yep.
I've seen
Dustin
them.
Parent.
Yep, Dustin, they're good
and
guys.
Jason,
Yep.
great guys.
I know a couple guys that went to them.
I had
too.
never stepped foot out of the truck in C1, so I'm like, I don't
Right,
know,
yeah.
where to begin. So we had a great hunt with those guys.
Yeah, we did.
Justin ended up taking a 50-inch bull up in
Holy
Massive.
smokes.
up
That's
in
50.
Jericho State Park.
Yeah, it was a
Nice.
good one.
And
was a
what
good
what
one.
year was that?
I don't remember.
That was
honestly.
2010.
Yeah, the year. Yeah, so
That
the
was
year
that was our
after high
last
school.
moose hunt,
Yeah.
2010. So 95, we ended up getting a cow. Mostly road hunting.
Yeah, of
I'm
course,
not going to
yeah.
kid you. I didn't know what the hell
Well,
I was doing.
A lot of people, yeah.
So it was a 635-pound cow dressed.
Nice.
So it was a good size.
It's
Yeah.
a big cow.
6.5 years old. But it ate like Shula there. It was horrible.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. I had the guys that cut it. They were over in Elliott. I'm not going to say any names.
Yeah.
They probably still cut to this day, but they cut these moose
I know what you're
steaks.
talking about.
Yeah, they cut these moose steaks like an inch and a half inch thick,
Yeah.
and
That's too much.
it was tough.
Yeah.
So, but the burger stuff like that was good.
Good deal.
So the next hunt was 2003. I ended up hunting with a buddy of mine, John.
Sub-perm?
and, he was
Sub-
my sub-perm.
Yep,
yeah.
nice. Wow, that's awesome. You guys been drawn.
So we hunted A2 again, and you guys know Pittsburgh. You know where the what the heck is the name of that camp? The Buckhorn Camp. It's up off of Cedar Stream Road.
We went down Cedar Stream Road.
Yeah, so you get out Cedar Stream Road, you got the Buckhorn Road, and then you go out there and there's the Buckhorn Camp. Well,
I'm not 100% positive, but we went down that road
Yeah.
midday, like
yeah.
11 o'clock. We were going
So,
down
So
to Cedar.
yeah.
at this time in 2003, there were some cuttings out there, a couple
Yeah.
of cuttings that were, a couple, 2-3 years old. They were prime. And that was at the peak of the moose population, 2003.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it
we
was so good.
it
so
was
good.
amazing. It was amazing.
I remember just driving up there and, just on 16A going into Errol, you would see deer.
Oh, yeah.
You'd see
Dude,
moose.
Route 3.
Route 3.
Then
Yeah.
they started making the buses for all the.
Yeah,
the tourist buses, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think what kind of ruined
It
it.
was fucking crazy. There was moose everywhere.
Yeah. So we scouted pretty good during the summer, and we had a couple nice bulls up in this cutting, and we were pumped to go to this area. And then the night before the hunt, we went up and drove the road, and I will never forget it in my life. I saw the biggest freaking bull moose I've ever seen in New Hampshire, right where we were going to hunt. He had to be close to 60 inches wide,
Wow,
just points
that's a nice
everywhere.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and of course, I couldn't sleep that night, We immediately went back to the same area in the morning, and because he was long gone, couldn't find, there was no
Nothing.
snow or
Jeez,
nothing,
right,
obviously.
Yeah.
So we scooted over this other cutting, and we did a scan through the cutting, quick walk through. There was nothing there. So we come to the back, and then we took another route back towards the truck, and all of a sudden I'm getting halfway, and up stands this bull. They were bedded down. The cutting was, 4 or 5
Some
inches
whips,
high,
yeah.
the whips. And he was bedded down right there the whole time. He stood right up. And, I took him with my 30-06 Encore.
No shit.
That's awesome.
He dressed 800.
Nice.
800
That's a nice
even.
bull.
Wow.
That's a nice
Yeah,
bull.
he was old, 12 and a half years old. One eye was gored out from fighting.
Wow.
Holy
So
They
smoke.
take
Yeah.
a beating.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah.
Throwing those paddles around and how strong those animals are. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Imagine
crazy.
getting whacked by
The
one.
force.
Well,
We
even
wouldn't-
that big 10-pointer he shot this year, buck, that
Yeah.
thing was all gored up. The whole side of it, pus.
Yeah, he's got holes all
Pus-filled
through him,
holes
fighting.
in him.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking for the buck that did that
I was
next
gonna
year.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that.
Make it 3 years in a row.
Right.
That's awesome.
So, and then 2009, we drew another tag.
Yep.
And,
You put it in obviously every year.
yeah, well,
We
I-
haven't in a long time, but we did.
Yeah.
When
yeah,
was the last time we put in?
2009
I
was
think-
my tag.
Yeah, and I shot it on yours.
I couldn't put in the next year because you can't put in for 3
Right,
years. So
and
the
then I got it in
2010 was yours, right?
Yeah.
But
Jeez.
we ended up shooting, believe it or not, a calf.
Yeah.
And it dressed 300 pounds. And I would highly recommend anybody that likes to eat shoot a calf because it
No
was the
shit, yeah.
best eating thing I've ever had in my
Really?
life. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had no qualms about it. It was 300-pound moose. We could drag it out
Good.
by hand. And,
Yeah.
You don't get picked every year. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah,
take
right,
what you
yeah.
got. Yeah.
yeah.
Take what you got.
They give you the tags for a reason. So
Yeah, and I mean, one of the reasons was that, I shot a 12-and-a-half-year-old, kind of tasted like shoe leather, and then the first one wasn't very
Yeah.
good. So
you're
I'm
not
like,
the first
well,
person
do you-
I've heard that from.
Yeah.
You
Do you remember that? I think it was the same day that I shot that calf. Actually, we were up on top of Pisgah Mountain.
oh yeah, I remember that hunt.
You remember
yeah.
that
Big bull? Yeah.
up there? We were calling, and there was like a little tote road that goes all the way up this mountain, and then
We were
it's-
way out there.
yeah,
if we would have
it's
shot a
thick
moose
stuff.
up there, it would
You
have
guys
took us
didn't
a
have a
week.
guide at the time, right?
No,
No,
no.
this is just
2010 was
us.
the only time you got
Yeah.
the guide?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was just us. So we get to the top of this mountain, and we start calling. All of a sudden, we hear something crashing through the woods.
He started grunting. We heard it first, right?
Yeah, we heard it. We heard it calling back, and we thought it was going to come out in front of us. So we're on the side of this tote road, and it's like an old skidder trail. And it didn't end up coming out in front of us. It ended up coming out behind us, and we had like a 10-foot window to shoot at this bull before it crossed the trail. So we tried to spin around and get a shot at it. And by the time we spun around, the thing was already in the thick stuff on the
Yeah.
other
Oh.
side. Couldn't
Just
see it,
thick
but
spruce on both
it was
sides.
a big bull. Like it was a good one.
Yeah, but looking back, it's a good thing we didn't shoot it up there because
That would have been.
quarter it out, right? Yeah.
Oh,
we would
yeah.
have. Oh yeah, we would have
Easy
had
to
to.
Yeah,
quartered
we
it.
would have had to. There's no
Yeah.
way we could have dragged that out of there. No way.
I think a lot of people that get drawn not from New Hampshire, not coming out to scout, like national forest. When you put in for a zone, there's a lot of national forest in
Yeah.
New Hampshire,
Right.
Shitload.
and there's a lot of restrictions.
Yeah,
in
no
national
off-road
forest.
vehicles, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And even up north,
It's a lot of work.
try to get an ATV
Oh, yeah.
out
Oh, yeah.
there. It's a little bit different now, but when my dad got his moose permit, I know he shot a moose. Was it off Day Road? Yeah, Day Road. And at that time, there was no ATVs. There was no.
Right.
There was side by sides weren't even a thing yet.
Right.
Yeah. So, you want to get someone up with the pack mules or horses
Something,
or
yeah.
something that's gonna pull it out. It's
Yeah.
like you gotta shoot
Or
'em
find a
from the road.
logger up there with a skidder or something.
Yeah,
Right.
that's common,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I hear people doing that.
We were prepared to pack it out though. You know,
Yeah.
we had all.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
I definitely would have shot that.
I would've-
bull if
I
I
would-
had the chance.
I would
would-
love
mean,
to just hike, 13 miles back in, shoot a deer, and pack it out just for the experience, really.
Right.
Well, deer you have to get out whole.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
you do in New
Yeah,
Hampshire?
yep.
Oh, shit, I didn't even know that.
You can't cut it up. I don't. You got.
I thought you could quarter a deer. In New
I don't
Hampshire.
think so. You have to.
Oh,
I think
maybe-
you have to
yeah.
present the whole carcass.
Not 100% sure. but I've never had to
Look it up
quarter
now.
one. So.
Yeah.
Good thing I didn't.
Yeah, good thing I didn't shoot one walking 13
Bring the
miles that
Sawzall
day.
Yeah.
Jamie, look that up for me.
Yeah,
But
be a lot easier in 2 trips.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
The jet sled has become our best friend. I tell you that.
Jet sled, yeah. No, that thing's a lifesaver. We
Yeah.
used it in New York
Yeah.
for, I don't know, 3-4
Russell's deer,
year. Yeah. And
But Rodney had a 4-wheel at the time. But actually, I didn't. There wasn't no snow on the ground when I
Yeah.
shot my buck out there. But
Even on leaves though. Like we had
Yeah.
with Nick's deer. I text my dad. I said, "Yeah, we got one," and he was in Stratford. I think maybe the same day you shot yours, right?
Yeah,
You were in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he's messaging.
Yeah, he
somebody.
messaged me, and
Yeah.
the day he shot his deer. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I knew he was leaving Stratford. He's like, "Yeah, I'll come over with a deer cart." And where we shot, out back we have like three swamps in a row. Big swamp, dwindles down. Another swamp, another swamp. He shot his way back, and it's like, "Oh yeah, bring the deer cart out." So he
That
went
thing.
and got the deer cart.
doesn't work,
The deer cart on a hiking trail would be pisser.
right?
You know,
Yeah.
you can't beat it.
We've thought about
logs
getting
and
one.
stuff, I don't
walking
know.
through
Yeah.
walking through the friggin' over stone walls, down trees.
Yeah,
through-
you got to kind of move logs and stuff out of the way to.
and we lost
yeah.
what, a cotter pin out of the side. So then we were down
Yeah.
to one wheel.
Wheel falls
It's
out.
like, God damn it! Now I'm bringing back
But
a
I don't-
deer cart and the deer.
But I had a good experience with one. My grandfather shot an 8-pointer up the road, and that was actually went through a swamp. I remember even dragging that cart over some logs, and it wasn't that bad. And it was a old cut that grew up. It was probably like 5-6 years old, so it was thick in there, and the cart came in handy.
Yeah.
It really did. It wasn't bad at all.
Where were you?
Up the road.
You weren't there. No, ours was bad.
I was working on a roof.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about a jet sled in all situations because it's hard, and wide. But
Right.
I think just a regular flimsy old plastic sled that you can kind of wrap around.
Yeah.
And will probably most situations.
Go with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything to make it slide.
I just know it's getting harder the older I get.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you got me.
Yeah.
Fill the freezer and pull out the deer.
Yeah. Doing all the hard work, Justin.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Every time I shoot one, he still drags mine out too. So
I think that's a lot of the fun. Now.
yeah, especially
Yeah.
when father and son. you
That's
gotta
right. That's what it's
share
all
those
about.
memories,
Well, the
man.
hardest part
Absolutely.
is once you shoot something, right? Like, I don't know if it's the same for you. It is for me and my dad. I know is like when you shoot something, all of a sudden you find yourself in a huge rush to get out of the woods. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let's drag it. Let's
get
go.
this
Let's
it's
thing
like
go.
a
out.
panic. I
Yeah,
don't know
then
why.
you're like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
let's just stop.
That's
Let's just
right.
Stop. and
What's
we,
we're
were
the
supposed
hurry?
to, we were supposed
Take
to hunt
some
all
pictures.
day.
right.
Yeah.
And
When I shot my first deer with a bow, I ran a mile back to the house without stopping in a full sprint with my bow and
Just
all
shot
my
a
stuff
deer.
just to get back to the house to tell my dad I
Yeah,
shot
I got
the deer.
one.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I got one. Like, it was
Yeah,
crazy.
That's awesome.
no, but
yeah.
the drag out. That's like when it's there and the job's done and
Think about it. Take
yeah,
your
you
time.
think about it.
It's done. It's done.
what you
there's
went
no
through,
rush.
whatever. It's such a good moment just to
Oh,
relax,
sure, yeah.
but
Yep.
it's not that way sometimes. I know for
Yeah.
us, it's like you gotta get out of the woods. Let's get it hung up in the garage. Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, no, I'm not like that anymore. I know what you're talking about, but last couple of deer, these guys, especially this year's, I really took my time. I looked them over really good, took a
Right.
bunch of good pictures, and just
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
I think the older you get, not that you're old, but
Thanks.
you know what I mean.
Yes.
You learn to appreciate the hunts more than when you're younger. When you're younger, you're just out in the woods. You still enjoy your time out there, but you don't respect it as much as
Yeah.
you do.
No, I'm
The older you get, I feel like the more you respect the hunt.
I'm constantly trying not to make my wife mad. I want to be out there, sun up to sun down, but it's like,
Yeah.
so
It's a
are you
fighting
coming
battle.
home today? And I'm like,
Uh,
yeah, I guess I will.
yeah, I guess I'm coming in at 10.
So it's like I'm always looking at the damn clock,
Yeah.
making sure I'm like, God, she won't be mad if I come home at this time.
Well,
so.
the thing is, it's like that, and then it goes into the other scenario where like, all right, I know I have to be home at 11 or 10 or whatever.
Yeah,
If something comes at 9:30, it's not even
I'm
worth
pushing
it.
my luck.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pushing my luck.
yeah.
Yeah, but some of those great hunts it happens when you have an hour or two to hunt. You
Right.
never know. Go out back of your house, whatever, it could happen.
It's always when you least expect it, too.
Yeah,
That's it.
It's
Yeah.
always when it happens.
get home from work, you got 45 minutes,
Yep.
just go.
That happened to me this year, November 10th. No, it was a Sunday. Yeah, so it was either 11th or 10th, but I got home from my daughter's birthday party and I just walk out back 15 minutes. It got crunchy like you were saying,
Yeah.
pretty much the same day, and I just like, screw it, I'll sit down on this rock. Now it pops a buck, but I missed, so. But
Yeah.
like you said,
It happened.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
I was only
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have about
Doesn't
an
matter.
hour till sunset.
Yeah,
I'll
and
just go out there.
I used to get real wound up when it was real noisy like that, crunchy snow, leaves. But guess what? They're walking around making noise
Yeah,
too.
they're
you know?
curious, yeah.
So
And I kind of think that's half the. I think that's half the
That-
battle. If
that
it's
buck stood up.
because the day that Nick shot his buck,
It was loud.
it was loud,
cold.
and we were
It was a
walking.
cold day.
And it's like there's nothing you can do.
yeah,
So
nothing
we-
you can do. Just keep
It
try
was-
to stay as quiet as you can
Yeah.
and keep
Yeah.
going because they're
But
like
I
I
kind
said.
of feel like that in that scenario where we had the call and she came back, they probably thought that there was other deer in the area or
Yeah.
something happened. So
Same with me. I just walked in the woods. It got really crunchy, and I'm like, and I just stood there. And I'm like, man, it's loud. And all of a sudden, that deer stood up and walked out in the open to take a look what the heck I was. And
Yeah.
just
He
rushed
let you
the
get
shot.
that close though, right?
Yeah.
that's all it took.
I the older I get, the more I pick and choose when I'm going to hunt. You know, what I mean? It's about having enjoyment. You know, it's
Oh,
not-
of course.
I don't want to go out there when it's 10 degrees,
Raining
and
hard,
freaking
or-
raining.
yeah.
And, you know,
I love the rain. I
Yeah.
love hunting.
Well,
in the rain.
I like hunting in the rain too.
Hunting in the rain
Shaking
is
his
the
head in the
best.
corner.
Give him the thumbs
Yeah.
up.
That's
If
the
it's
best
a-
time.
If it's a warm rain and it's not a
Yeah.
pouring rain, I'm out there. And I absolutely hate to hunt in a bright sunny day.
Yeah.
Hate it. Most of the time, I won't do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Right,
so-
you look at it too, and you're like, "Oh man, it's the perfect day to hunt." No, it's really not.
Yeah, I don't like to hunt in the sunshine. There's just something about it, you know. But
Wow. Yeah. I for whatever reason I enjoy the suck. If it's raining and it's
Oh,
cold and
that
it's
day we
sleeting
went
and
out-
snowing,
I've had the
I
best
want to
luck
be
on
there.
those days.
I want to be in the
Yeah.
shit.
The day we went out together, where I came over, I'm like, I'm just gonna head out back. Started downpouring.
Yeah.
We're out there for like 4 hours. I jumped the most deer out of one day I did all season.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So-
it's the best luck I've ever had is on crappy,
Yeah,
rainy,
that's what it
cloudy
was.
days where it's just a mess out there.
But I cannot wait until the day that I can be like, nah, I'm not gonna go. I'm just gonna.
I'm just gonna.
I'm gonna
hang
wait.
out.
I'm gonna hang out. I'm gonna wait until you have a good day to go.
Keep
you know?
looking outside. Yeah, it's all right.
But
Well, you
I
gotta
can't
wait for
pick
your
and
50s.
choose.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. My days.
So you gotta wait.
Got a
some
ways to
time.
go.
When you get 3 kids, you can't pick and choose
no,
your days.
no,
like
you
that.
can't.
No.
You get limited time.
Yeah.
You're gonna hunt, right?
Yeah, work and kids.
So
This year, what were you
I
gonna say?
can't wait for. I mean, I don't want to wish time away, but
Yeah.
when those days come, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Well, you got to make it enjoyable. I mean, you can't. I put pressure on myself for years. You know, my buddy shot a deer, and it's not happening for me. Nothing's happened. So you get pressured. You know,
Yeah.
and that's not what it's about. You got to just enjoy it. Go when you want to go, and hunt when you want to hunt. And I think Justin kind of got burned out this year a little bit.
Oh,
You
I
do
hunt-
towards the end of the season.
I
man,
hunted
you get
harder.
smoked.
I hunted harder this year than I have in years past, and I mean, I was out every second I had hunting nonstop,
Yeah.
all the time, taking days off, constantly, like literally just
Oh,
hunting.
I'm sick again.
like, yeah, like
Unusually
hunting
sick.
constantly, like yeah.
You shot turkeys this year, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't
okay,
turkey
that
hunt-
was
I
last
didn't
year or
turkey hunt at
something?
all this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. I shot 2 with my bow.
Yeah.
But I haven't really turkey hunted since then. I've gone out, like if I see them in the field, I'll
Yeah.
grab my bow and run out there
Right.
and try and
Yeah,
whack
try to
one. But it's
smoke
like,
one,
yeah, but I'm not like, I haven't really got that into it in the last couple of years.
But look what you said. You spent so much time out in the woods, and a big thing of successfully finishing a hunt is just how much time you spend in the woods, and you did it. And look at you got 3 deer this year. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's what
spent
it
a
is.
lot of
but
time.
Yeah, I think next year I'll be looking more for quality instead of quantity.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
No, why
I'm
not though? Eh?
I tried it this year. It didn't
It all
work out
depends.
so well.
Yeah, it all depends on who you are, really. If that's what you want to do, do it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I,
right,
I
that's
have no
right.
problem, putting
whatever you
putting a
feel
couple in the
comfortable
freezer
shooting.
with the bow, whatever,
Yeah.
early season.
You
but
got
I
to get
think-
one in the freezer.
That
Oh,
seems,
absolutely.
If you got a
that seems what it
family,
was, yeah.
Oh, I
me and
do,
you,
too,
we
yeah,
both have
yeah.
kids and whatever. That's a big supplement, with kids. If you can, they love
Especially
the
when
hamburger.
they're young. Yeah, when they're young,
know,
you throw the hamburger and
Tacos,
everything.
whatever, spaghetti, they love it.
Yeah,
So-
we do a lot of hamburger. I agree with you. That's
Yeah,
the
you
best.
got to get at least one in the freezer, and then after that, I feel like
Right.
you can just
Right.
you can be
Jerky and
picky.
hamburger.
We
Yeah.
did, or Justin did his first bear bait this year, though. That
Yeah.
was successful, right?
Well,
We
the
baited in a bear.
Any
We
zone?
did bait in a bear in J2. Yeah.
Nice.
On his property, so it was illegal. You don't have to get permission.
Right,
You just have
right.
to label your
Yep.
site and whatever,
Yep.
and put it out there. So this is the first time we've ever done it. So put it out on his property, and I got pictures of a decent, probably 200-pound bear. Nothing huge.
There was a
you know,
lot of
but
bear around.
There
this
were a
year.
lot,
We
yeah.
had a lot on camera just throughout the day,
Everywhere.
every week. It was just they're everywhere.
Daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was seeing them too.
But I wanted to shoot it with my bow, so I'm like, I'm just obsessed with bow hunting
Yeah,
now.
why not?
So
Yeah.
I take my bow everywhere I go now. So
Right, you
instead of
might
my
as well.
rifle. So if I grabbed the 308, this bear would have been dead though.
Yeah.
And I grab my bow instead and go out to the bait site, sitting there, and this bear comes out, and I go to shoot it, and my arrow ricochets off a tiny limb between me and the bear,
Oh,
and ricochets just enough to like skim off its back leg, just hit it right in the back of the leg, and I get up to it. I saw it ran off. It was fine.
Yeah.
The bear was okay, and then
There's
the
no
arrow
blood or anything.
the arrow had a tiny bit of blood on it and a little bit of hair, but it wasn't like.
You could tell I wasn't.
Yeah, you could tell it was just
Yeah.
a muscle hit, skimmed, if that, like not even
Right.
through its leg, just skimmed the edge.
Yeah, so
and then you actually
about
saw that.
about was it 3 weeks later?
Yeah.
3 weeks later, I'm headed to the dump on a Saturday morning, and I'm coming back up the road, and what comes out? Barrels out of the right to the left. It's a bear, and I could see a white patch on his left rear leg, and he was hobbling a little bit, but
So
I mean,
you
he
saw
was
the bear that I
motivating.
shot.
Yeah.
no way.
He was
Yeah.
motivating, but he
No
did have a
shit.
little bit of a hobble. It had to be
Yeah,
the same bear.
one.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. So you ended up, excuse me, shooting a bear this year.
Yeah,
Off-
I actually
on that bait site or no?
No.
Yeah.
It was a whole different town, and I took my girlfriend out with her apprentice license to deer hunt.
Yeah.
She's been asking me to deer hunt, so I'm like, well, apply for
Oh,
your
that's
apprentice
awesome.
license. So she gets it.
Good
I
deal.
take her out. We're sitting on a
yes,
new
you
ridge
can.
that I scouted this year, new spot this is the second time I'd been out there. I'd never hunted it. Huge ridge. And we get to the bottom of it, and we're looking up it, and I'm like, so I sit at the top. You want to climb up it? She's like, nah, I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
we're
I'm
gonna
like,
sit here.
she's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm up for that, because it's a big ridge.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get like a quarter of the way up it, and I'm like, all right, we'll sit here. There's a decent spot. We can see for a ways, probably 7,500 yards or whatever. I'm like, this is a good spot. So we sit on a rock wall. I hit the bleat can a couple times, and all of a sudden I hear something crashing through the woods, like running at us. I'm like, what is
Holy
that?
smokes.
So I'm like, yeah. I'm like, get ready, something's coming. I'm like, I thought it was a buck. I thought a buck
Yeah.
was running out of the woods at us. So I look up the ridge, and there's a bear crashing down the ridge, and it's running so fast that it's like tripping over its legs and like tumbling down the ridge.
No
It's a
shit.
steep ridge,
Yeah.
so this thing's running down at us. And I'm like, hand me my rifle to her, because she obviously can't shoot a bear. She only has a deer tag. So
Yeah.
I'm like, give me my rifle, give me my rifle. She
Let me
hands
see
me,
it.
yeah.
Let me see it.
She hands me my rifle, and the thing's coming straight down the ridge right at us. Probably, it was probably 50 yards out by the time I shot it, but it stopped for a second, and it had its head down, but we were up a part of a ridge, and it was down the other part, so I shot it right in the top of the head, and
Yeah.
it just dropped right there, and that was
That's
Oh,
wild.
that was
awesome.
it. But
Yeah.
What a crazy
Bleak can,
experience,
baby.
really.
she won't eat
can.
it though.
No?
Really?
'Cause,
I've
yeah,
had some amazing bear meat.
saw
it.
Just
I love
with,
it.
Just
Don't
with
saw it
butter.
die.
yeah, I
Just
love
with
it.
butter.
Don't
That's
get me
it.
wrong.
Just throw butter and salt and pepper on it. That's it.
I heard mixed things about it. I tried it myself, and I like it better than venison.
A lot of
I
people
love it.
make
Really?
obviously
Yeah.
stew meat.
Yeah?
But it's pretty good. There's some.
Did
I
you
got a
cut
lot
it?
of.
Did you have someone cut it?
I had Phelan's cut it.
Yeah.
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 Oh, he's a good.
Yeah.
He's a good butcher.
He does all my deer too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Keep him
Big
pretty
fans
busy
of
then,
him.
obviously.
yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
she won't eat it just because she saw it got killed, and she watched it get
Is
killed.
she gonna
and she's
hunt
like-
next year? Is she gonna go for a hunt?
Well, I
license?
gave her the heads up on. Yeah, she's going to. She wants to
Nice.
take hunter safety
Nice.
and stuff and deer hunt, but. I warned her about the bear moan right after I took the shot. I'm like, get ready because it's gonna make some crazy noises,
Yeah.
just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, not 2 seconds after that thing starts screaming
Moaning,
and
yeah.
making and I'm like, it'll stop in a second. Yeah, I'm like, it'll stop in a second. Cover your ears if you need to, whatever. And then it stopped a second after that. And she was fine after
That's
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're
right.
never
She
gonna
even-
have that
right.
experience again.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, it was a
wild.
smaller bear, but she even tried to drag it. She wanted to try, so I'm like, I gave her the strap. I'm like, if you want to try and pull it, go for it. She's like, all right. She made it like 10 feet. She's like, all right,
I'm
you
all
can take
done.
back over. I'm
I think
done.
I'm good.
Like,
I'm the apprentice.
No,
You
like,
drag.
yeah. I'm like, just imagine if we were going uphill.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
We're going down. But no,
That's
it was
great.
cool to have her there for that experience for
Yeah.
sure.
First time in the woods or no?
She's been out with her father a little bit,
Yeah.
but I mean, they've never had a successful hunt
Right.
together, so
Well, that's cool.
it was
Good
the first thing she's witnessed get killed. But
Got to get him into it. You can stay out in the woods longer.
deal. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I take my wife out partridge hunting. She'll go out and shoot birds or whatever, but she would never hunt
Shoot a
deer.
deer?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not really big into sitting in the cold and being quiet either. So
Yeah.
What about turkey hunting?
she might do that. She might do
She
that.
might, yeah.
Yeah,
Smack a bird.
you'd have to
I
get up
think-
early.
Yeah, you
though.
got it. Yeah.
We're gonna plan something.
Yeah, we definitely,
gonna do
guys. We'll
something.
definitely get together this year
We gotta
and
get
fun.
turkey hunt.
Get some
Yeah.
decent film.
Definitely. I'm game for that.
I'd like to make a Pittsburgh hunt. You guys
Yeah.
want to do that too?
Yeah.
I'd love to do
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Do these things? Yeah. Do these things go to Pittsburgh? Can we do one of these? And
Oh, we can.
I
we
got
can,
Wi-Fi at
Shit,
my
yeah.
camp.
We can. We can
not
do
like
one
the
of these
old
in
days.
Pittsburgh. We can drive as we're driving up there. We can throw a podcast
Yeah.
up. Yeah, we can bring some batteries, Nick.
But I think we're like about what, an hour, 20
Yeah,
minutes, hour
so-
and a half.
We're getting wrapped up on time. I just want to make one more thing and just talk about the Granite State Whitetails. And I got raffle tickets if anyone wants to message me on Instagram or Facebook. But you can win a Browning Creemore 6.5 or $500 cash. It's off the Pick 3 lottery in New Hampshire. So I got raffles. If anyone's interested, it goes to a good cause. And it's pretty much a chapter off of Whitetails Unlimited, and New Hampshire's just coming along with it. So they're just getting started. They're going to have a banquet in October, a nice game banquet. So if anyone's interested, we can definitely get some information out for you guys. But other than that, that is it. We appreciate you guys making the trip.
Yeah,
thanks
over
for having
here.
us.
It's
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
huge,
Thanks for
huge
having
thing
us.
for us, man. I guys really
You
appreciate
guys are doing
it.
a great podcast. I listened to your
Yeah.
other two, and
Thank you.
We're
it's
gonna try to
enjoyable.
keep them rolling.
I know it's snowing out right now, and the weather's probably going to get a lot more crappier, but we appreciate you guys making the effort to come
Absolutely.
down here.
Time.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All
Well, that's
right.
it, boys
All
and girls. We'll
Yep.
see you later.
We'll say
Adios.
goodbye.
Shut her
Say
down.
goodbye, Nick.
Say goodbye, Nick.
I said bye. Bye.